ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। So our topic of discussion for today is Bhakti and Sharanagati. Sri Ramakrishna would say, Bhakti Sar. Bhakti is the essence of spiritual life. One who has attained real faith and devotion to God has attained the greatest acquisition of human life. And he would tell that Naradiya Bhakti is the best spiritual path for this age. But there are different stages of Bhakti. For example, Narada Bhakti Sutras define Bhakti as Satu Asmin Parama Prema Rupa. Bhakti is supreme love for God. But this is the highest level of Bhakti, which Sri Ramakrishna called Prema Bhakti. But there are other stages preceding it. The first stage, which normally all devotees experience or practice, is Vaidhi Bhakti, in which we are doing sadhana so as to acquire real bhakti or bhava bhakti or prema bhakti. So this sadhana consists of ritualistic worship or puja, along with japa and dhyana of our Ishta Devata as instructed by our Guru. This is the Kaika sadhana or sadhana based on our physical body, and our next comes is Manasika or with our mind, spiritual practice or devotion employing our mind. And there is also Vachika, in which we sing bhajans or do stotra pathana. So all these three, Kaika, Vachika and Manasika, form of Vaidhi Bhakti, all of us practice, so that we can slowly acquire the higher forms of Bhakti. So this Vaidhi Bhakti has to be practiced with Shraddha and Nishtha. Shraddha is deep faith in God, where there is no doubt. There is absolute faith that God is the higher eternal reality, the Parama Purusha or the Paramatma behind the whole universe. Just as there is a soul in this body, there is a consciousness, individual consciousness in our body. Similarly, there is universal consciousness, the cosmic consciousness behind the whole universe. And that consciousness is called Brahma in our Vedas. And Brahma Shakti, when Brahma becomes Saguna Brahman along with his Shakti, that is called Ishvara or God. Because Ishvara is one who does the creation, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Creation, preservation and dissolution of the universe. And this Saguna Brahma is defined in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Brahma is that Yato va imani bhutani jayante ena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishantiti tat vijiknyasasva tat brahmeti. Brahman is that from which all jivas and all worlds come into existence, and they are sustained in Brahman, and finally they are dissolved in Brahman. So Brahman is the universal consciousness power that is sustaining all beings as well as all non-living things. So all non-living things also exist in Brahman. The only difference is that living beings have an antakarana, a sukshma sharira, in which the reflection of Brahman or Atman falls, and that reflection creates the ego, the semblance of an individuality, as if we are separated from God, as if we have a separate existence. This feeling comes to the living beings. And in non-living objects, this sukshma sharira is absent. Therefore, there is no separation or no ego in the separate ego in non-living things. But non-living things are also part and parcel of Brahman, just as living beings are. Means the whole universe, consisting of both sentient and non-sentient, are parts and parcel of Brahman. So Brahman is the whole. And when we realize this, that our own existence is fully dependent on Brahman or God, that everything within us and in our life in this world is governed by that power, then we have no other way but to surrender to that power. And when we surrender, we gain the grace of that power, that universal consciousness. We realize that our consciousness is a part of that universal consciousness. So from Vaidhi Bhakti, there are few steps by which we gain Shuddha Bhakti. Because in the preliminary stages, our Bhakti is always mixed with many desires. Because to exist in this world, we need so many things and we need so much of help. And we feel that somehow we are not getting that help. Even though everything is happening by divine will alone, but we do not feel that or we do not realize it. So we ask so many things, we expect so many things from God, and based on our intelligence. But actually our intelligence is very limited, and what we ask may not be the right thing for us. So, but still we ask. So that bhakti is not Shuddha Bhakti. So Shuddha Bhakti, or as Sri Ramakrishna called it, Ahaituki Bhakti, is that where there is no desire, where the devotee seeks God alone and not something from God. So when that Shuddha Bhakti is attained, then only the real goal of human life is attained. So what are the steps which we follow so as to attain Shuddha Bhakti? First is Satsanga. Being in Satsanga, or being in the company of the devotees of God, those who have advanced in devotion, when we are in their company, in their holy company, automatically we also gain that devotion, that faith, because whatever we see, it has a direct effect on us. So when we live in their holy company and give up all kusanga or bad company, or what takes us away from God, when we give up that and we remain in satsanga, then we are fast moving towards the realization of Shuddha Bhakti. Second is Swadhyaya, or study of holy scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So, by the study of these holy scriptures, we gain deep faith and devotion, pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti for God. Because it is scriptures in which all our doubts are cleared. Because scriptures are the words of those who have already realized God in the past, realized souls as well as incarnations of God. So all the past saints or incarnations of God have given this path to us through the holy scriptures. So reading the scriptures, we gain all those methods and all those intricate paths by which our mind will be purified and we gain Shuddha Bhakti. Third is Seva or devotional service unto the Lord. First of all, this Seva has to be done in our Guru Sthana, or from where we have gained initiation into spiritual life. So when we serve God in our Guru Sthana, we gain Shuddha Bhakti for our Ishta. Because our Guru Sthana is the main place where Ishta is, the Prana Pratishtha of Ishta is done by one who has realized that Ishta in their life. So devotional service unto the Lord, first of all in our Guru Sthana, then at our home. In our home, we should have a shrine or at least a corner where we are worshipping Lord and realizing that our life is God-centered. We have to live a God-centered life. So our home, our family, everything belongs to God, and we are serving God through whatever we are doing at our home also. As all our family members are also children of God, and when we are serving the children of God, we are serving God Himself. With that attitude, whatever we are doing in our life becomes a worship unto the Lord. Yattat karma aham karomi, tattat shambho tavaradhanam. Whatever karma I am doing is a devotional service unto the Lord. With this bhava, we have to do whatever we are doing in our life. Then it becomes a seva. Then fourth is sadhana. So sadhana is based on the sadhana paddhati or upasana paddhati which is taught to us by our guru. So all of us, those who have been initiated or have received mantra diksha, have got that steps how they have to do their sadhana. And apart from that sadhana, which is the upasana paddhati that we practice in the morning and evening by sitting in our shrine. Apart from that, the Ishta mantra or Ishta nama should go on in our mind continuously, as if it is continuously coming, or sphurana of that mantra is happening in our heart and we are listening to it. No matter what we are doing externally, whatever work or seva or we are doing, but internally this mantra should go on. That vibration of the mantra is protecting us from all other negative vibrations that are there in the environment. Because there are so many thoughts, so many vibrations in the environment that we live in. So when this vibration of the Ishta mantra becomes more constant, with constant remembrance of God, all other we will be getting rid of all the negative influences that are coming from this world. So automatically our mind gets purified. by this Nama Japa or Nama Sankirtana. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. All the sins that have been accumulated in our mind will be washed off by this Nama Sankirtana, constant remembrance of God with the repetition of His name or Ishta Mantra. So that is the primary sadhana of our order. Even Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi would say, Japat Siddhihi. Through japa, we reach perfection in human life. So this japa, how does this happen? As we are remembering our Ishta, the Ishta Nama and Ishta Rupa, all other thoughts are removed. And this japa samskara is formed in our chitta. And past samskaras are slowly wiped off. If we are sitting silently also not doing anything, all the thoughts that are arising in our mind is from our past samskaras, which we have accumulated in this life as well as in our past lives. So those samskaras are like forces which are directing us towards the world. Our mind is constantly going outside because of its ignorant samskaras that have been accumulated. So, to get rid of those ignorant samskaras, we have to pour in the name of God. As this Ishta Mantra keeps on vibrating in our heart or in our mind, all the past samskaras are slowly removed. And this is called Chitta Shuddhi, purification of mind. And after purification of mind, after Chitta Shuddhi, we gain Chitta Ekagrata or concentration of mind, that is meditation. And we will be able to visualize our Ishta Devata more clearly at the time of meditation in our heart. So as the other thoughts, other vrittis reduces, our concentration on our Ishta keeps on increasing and we feel the divine presence. So feeling this divine presence all the time, trying to keep our mind on God all the time through constant remembrance is our main sadhana. Next is the practice of sahanashilata or forbearance or enduring all suffering that comes through the external world, comes to us through the external world or from other beings. Because if we are reacting to whatever other people say or do, we will never have peace of mind and we won't be able to do sadhana. So we have to control this reaction by holding on to God. God or Ishta Mantra, right now we are not aware of God maybe, but we have got His name, the Ishta Mantra. So we have to hold on to Ishta Mantra just as we are holding on to God, knowing that Nama Nami Abhed. The name of God is not different from God. As we are taking the name of God, we are constantly in the company of God. And we are gaining that strength to endure all sufferings. And a time comes when we realize that this suffering that is coming to us is actually our tapasya for realizing God. Because as in earlier times, the devotees used to practice a lot of tapasya, going into solitary places and doing a lot of austerities, physical austerities, so as to purify their mind and control their senses. But in this age, we are not doing that. So we have to accept whatever suffering that comes to us as a form of tapasya for the purification of our mind. So that suffering, if we take in this positive attitude, that it is a tapasya for us for the purification of mind, then we won't be affected by it. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Trinadapi sunichena, considering ourselves as humble as the grass. Tarorapi sahishnuna, as forbearing as a tree. A tree, even if its branches are cut, it is not reacting, or we don't know whether it is reacting. And it is forbearing everything, whatever heat and cold and whatever other people are doing to it, without any reaction. So, if we can develop that kind of attitude, but this is based on inner spiritual strength. It is not that we are becoming completely weak. That is what Swami Vivekananda used to say, that real humility and real surrender comes from spiritual strength, but by the knowledge of our oneness with God, that we are already connected with God, we are the children of God. So with that strength we are forbearing whatever is coming from external world. And then the next step is to look upon all beings as children of God. As Bhagavan himself says in the Gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All beings are part of me. They are my ansha. And also, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. God resides in the hearts of all beings. So when we remember this, that there is nothing other than God. God himself is manifesting through all these beings. And so, when we approach everyone with that attitude, that God is residing in them, then all other reactions will drop off. And we will gain the humility, and we will be able to get rid of the raga and dvesha, which are great obstacles in our spiritual growth. Raga is attachment and dvesha is aversion. We like somebody, we hate somebody, we don't like somebody, and based on that like and dislike, attachment and aversion, our life moves. So by looking upon all as children of God, we are able to get rid of this raga and dvesha, automatically our mind becomes calm. And we will be able to do our spiritual practice with more diligence. So these form the basic steps in Vaidhi Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti, the initial bhakti we are doing with our ego is present in this, and we are looking upon ourselves as separate from God, because right now we are identified with the body and we think we are separate from God. So with this attitude we are doing the first step. We are taking the first step of Vaidhi Bhakti. But as we progress, as we are doing our spiritual practice with Shraddha and Nishtha, we develop Bhava Bhakti. Bhava is an intimate relationship with God. The Vaishnava Shastras define 5 specific bhavas. One is Shanta Bhava, that of a Jnani who feels the presence of God within his heart and is in meditation on God. That is Shanta Bhava, without any external. Nobody can see his external bhava. It is all within. That is a Jnani's bhava, Shanta Bhava. Then there is Dasya Bhava, or the feeling of being the servant of God. In the Puranas, we find Mahavir Hanuman as embodying this Dasya Bhava of he is the servant of God, eternal servant of God. Even in Sri Ramakrishna tradition, we find Swami Adbhutananda, Latu Maharaj, as having this attitude of being the servant of God. Always he wants to serve God and serve Thakur and remove all the, whatever Thakur wants, he wants to do for Thakur, and whatever Thakur is feeling any problem, he wants to remove that problem. He wants to serve in every way possible. So that is Dasya Bhava. Then there is Sakya Bhava, or being a friend of God, that which we find in Arjuna. Arjuna used to feel Krishna is his Sakha, or even Sudama used to feel Krishna is his Sakha. So being a friend of God. And some say that Swami Vivekananda also had this attitude of being friend of Sri Ramakrishna. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna also used to treat him equally. He won't allow Swami Vivekananda to do other menial jobs which other devotees used to do. And then is Vatsalya Bhava, which we find in Bhagavata in Mother Yashoda. She is looking upon God as her child. And in Sri Ramakrishna tradition, we find Gopaler Ma, who used to actually feel the presence of Gopala near her. She will be always feeding Gopala, looking after Gopala as if he is her child. So that is Vatsalya Bhava. And then there is Madhura Bhava, which the gopis of Vrindavan felt that God is their beloved. So they are always in constant remembrance of God, always in the feeling of the presence of God. So whatever bhava one has, and in Sri Ramakrishna we find it is called apatya bhava, which is being a child of God. Sri Ramakrishna is looking upon God as a divine mother and himself as the child of the divine mother. So he is as if a helpless child is always calling on the mother. Sri Ramakrishna used to call. Whatever problem he has, he used to directly go and talk to mother. He used to directly see the divine mother, of course, and mother is solving all his problems. Whatever comes to him, he will report it to mother. And we have heard of this in many of our great Swamis of our order, who used to feel the presence of Sri Ramakrishna and talk to him as if he is their own, as if he is directly present in front of them. So that comes through Bhava Bhakti, where there is an intimate relationship with God and constant remembrance of God. As in the Gita we find, Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginah. Ananya cheta satatam, one who is constantly remembering me, one who has his mind always on God. Yomam smarati nityashah, one who is remembering me every day, every moment. Tasyaham sulabha partha, for him I am easily available. He will feel the presence. So as we go on chanting our Ishta mantra to japa and feeling the presence of our Ishta in our heart, we develop this bhava as being in a eternal relationship with God. And when this bhava is developed, finally comes Sharanagati. So this Sharanagati, or complete surrender to God, is the culmination of bhakti. This Sri Ramanujacharya used to call prapatti. So he would say prapatti is more greater than bhakti, because in bhakti there is an ego, and with that ego, of course this ego is a pure ego, ripe ego, as Sri Ramakrishna would say. The worldly ego, which is identified with the body and worldly relationships, that is unripe ego, kacha ami. And this ego, which is connected with God, is paka ami, or ripe ego, where the devotee feels that I am a child of God, I am a servant of God, I am a friend of God. So whatever he feels, he is always connected with God. But the ego is there. But when Sharanagati comes, this ego is completely surrendered to the God. So that the feeling of separateness goes away. And he feels that either he is a part of God or God alone exists, both within and without. Therefore, this becomes an instrument of God. So, there is no separate sadhana required in that stage where one reaches the stage of Sharanagati. Because to do sadhana, the sadhaka is necessary, or the ego is necessary, ego of a sadhaka, that I am doing sadhana. But when complete surrender happens, there is no ego, and hence the sadhana may go on by practice, but there is no self-effort. It becomes effortless. Effortlessly, that constant feeling of the presence of God comes, both within and without. Therefore, God, or Bhagavan says in the Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. So in the final stage, there is no other dharma or no other sadhana to be practiced. Sarva dharman parityajya. All other dharmas are given up. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Just surrender to me alone. So when this complete surrender happens, there is nothing else to be done. There is no other dharma or sadhana to be done. That is the culmination of bhakti. Sharanagati. And after this Sharanagati comes Prema Bhakti, or the very body consciousness goes away and the devotee is dancing and singing in the complete divine presence. He is not aware of the world at all. That is what we find in the great saints like Mirabai or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and even Sri Ramakrishna. And these saints, like in Maharashtra also, Saint Tukaram, they used to sing and dance in the name of God, completely forgetting the world and their body consciousness. So that stage is Prema Bhakti, where the divine love, which is the Parama Prema Swarupa, has taken over, and the devotee is not separate from God. It is God Himself who is acting through the devotee. He becomes an instrument of God in this world. And what are the characteristics of Sharanagati? The first characteristic is the devotee becomes nischinta, free from all worries. There will be no more worldly worries for such a devotee. Because he knows that God is constantly protecting him, constantly taking care of him. As the Gita says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya abhyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. I take their whole responsibility. One who is constantly thinking of me, constantly devoted to me alone, I take his all responsibility. Whatever he requires, I provide it to him. And whatever is not required, I take it away from him. So that comes, and the devotee becomes nischinta, free from all worries. Then nishoka, free from all sorrows. All our sorrows are with respect to the world, our body and the world. So when a devotee in this stage, one who has completely surrendered to God, he has, even the body and mind does not belong to him. Whatever is there, everything belongs to God, and everything happens by the will of God, so where is the place for shoka or sorrow? So the sorrow doesn't exist. Nishoka. And nirbhaya. All fear goes away. Fear of the life in the world, fear of whatever happens, fear of death. Because the devotee realizes that he is not separate from God. God alone is. And whatever consciousness is felt in this body is a part and parcel of God alone. So there is no death. Birth and death pertains only to the body, and when this body consciousness goes away, there is no death for the devotee. The fear of death goes away, and when fear of death is not there, there won't be any other fear also. So he becomes fearless, as we find in the life of Swamiji himself. How Swamiji gained that fearlessness to face the whole world. Because he knows that the one who is acting through this body is none other than God himself. God is working his objective through this body. So there is no ego, separate ego in Swamiji. It is God who is functioning through him. That brings that nirbhayatva, fearlessness. Then finally, nirmama nirahankara. I and mine drops away. As Sri Ramakrishna would say, Ami ar amar ei maya. I and mine, this alone is maya. Feeling I am this body and whatever is related to this body belongs to me. So that idea goes away. This body and mind belongs to God alone, and whatever is connected to this body, all the family, relatives, friends, all are children of God alone. Everything and everyone belongs to God alone. So there is no I and mine. The separate I and mine drops away. He becomes nirmama nirahankara. So that is the stage where he is fully taken refuge in God. Ashraya, God alone is the ashraya. And as Sri Ramakrishna would always, he would like singing that song by Trilokyanath. Whenever Trilokyanath Sanyal comes, he would say that you please sing that song. That Nahi to ma bine keho tribhuvane bolibar aponar nath tumi sarvasvayamar nath tumi sarvasvayamar. There is none in the three worlds to call my own. Nahi toma bine keho tribhuvane. Other than thee, O Lord, there is none in the three worlds to call my own. You are my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Nahi toma bine keho tribhuvane bolibar aponar tumi sarvasva amar. You are my all in all. The same thing we find in our Bhakti Shastra also. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. You are my knowledge and my wealth also. Tvameva sarvam mama devada. You are my all in all. So there is nothing that belongs to me. Everything belongs to you alone. That is complete Sharanagati, which we find in all the great devotees of God. So that itself is the final stage of Prema Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti, what we are practicing right now, our sadhana, it is Vaidhi Bhakti. And along with that, slowly we develop the Bhava Bhakti. And finally, we realize Prema Bhakti. And Sri Ramakrishna says it is through Prema Bhakti alone that we get Ishvara Darshana or Ishta Darshana and final union with God. You become one with God. But there are few devotees who don't want that complete union with God. They don't want to lose their individuality in the final stage. They want to serve God, being their devotee, being a devotee even in that final stage. So small semblance of that ripe ego, devotee ego, will remain in such a devotee, and he will attain to the divine abode of God, which is called Vaikuntha or Ramakrishna Loka or Shiva Loka or Goloka or Saketapuri. Like that, so many names are given. It is Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. So devotee who doesn't want to merge in God but want to remain near God, that is called Salokya, Samipya. But the devotee has the choice. After this final realization also, the devotee has the choice whether he wants to merge in God or maintain that slight separation so as to enjoy God. So all the direct disciples, many of the direct disciples who came as a Parshada of Sri Ramakrishna, they are Ishvara Kotis who do not merge in God but remain as parts of God, near God. Like Swami Brahmananda came from Goloka, he's a playmate of Sri Krishna. So he has maintained that ego of being a friend of God. He remains in that loka. And he comes, whenever God incarnates, he will also be a Parshada of God to serve God in this world. So they will tell that they like to eat sugar, they don't want to become sugar. Chini khete bhalobashi, chini hote chahina. So that devotee, Vaishnava Shastras will consider that devotee as the greatest, who doesn't seek his own liberation also. He gives up his liberation, the moksha, mukti, so as to serve God in the final stage. He always wants to serve God alone, forgetting his own mukti. That he is considered to be the greatest. But of course, the Vedanta Shastra won't accept that. Vedanta Shastra will say that ego also we have to give up. That taste, rasaswada of bhakti rasa, that also we have to give up. That Vedanta would say, but Bhakti Shastras won't accept that. And Jiva Goswami, or Rupa Goswami, I think, who wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that ocean of divine bliss that he himself was experiencing. He's a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, staying in Vrindavan. He wrote that book where he is explaining that divine communion, and he is experiencing the divine play of God continuously. He is seeing not this world, but the divine world. Everything is pervaded with God. As Upanishad also say, Isha Vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Every being and everything is endowed with the presence of God. And that divine play is constantly going on. Because we are identified with our body and our world, we are not experiencing it. But when this mind gets purified through bhakti and sharanagati, we will feel the divine presence all the time. And our life, we realize that our life is also a part of the divine play of God. Divine Leela is constantly going on, and we are His instruments in that divine play. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.